Every day, millions of people throw away perfectly good leftovers because they have been told that reheating food is dangerous. They have been told that rice becomes toxic, that potatoes turn into poison, that cooked vegetables lose all their value the moment they touch the refrigerator. But what if I told you that for certain foods, reheating doesn't just preserve nutrition, it actually creates it? What if the bowl of reheated rice sitting in your fridge right now is about to feed your gut bacteria in a way that fresh rice never could? What if that leftover tomato sauce has more cancer-fighting lycopene than the raw tomatoes it came from? What if the reheated carrots in your soup are delivering more vitamin A to your cells than when they were first picked? Here is the truth that the fearmongers never tell you. Cooking is chemistry. And sometimes the second round of heat completes a reaction that the first round only started. I am Dr. William. For over 15 years, I have studied nutritional biochemistry, food science, and the molecular mechanisms through which food interacts with human metabolism. I have reviewed the same peer-reviewed literature that others use to scare you, but here is what I have found. The science is far more nuanced, far more interesting, and far more hopeful than the headlines suggest. Today, I am going to show you 4 foods that actually improve when they are cooked, cooled, and reheated. Foods that develop new compounds, unlock trapped nutrients, and feed your body defense systems in ways that fresh, raw versions simply cannot match. Stay with me until the end, because the 4th food on this list is something almost everyone has been told to eat raw. That advice, while well-meaning, is scientifically incomplete. Before we get to the specific foods, I need to explain something important about food chemistry. Not because I want to lecture you, but because understanding this one concept will change how you look at every meal you eat. Most plants lock their most valuable nutrients inside rigid cellular structures. Think of it like a vault. When you eat a raw carrot or a raw tomato, your digestive system has to break through that vault to access the treasure inside. Some of it succeeds, much of it does not. Heat is the key that opens that vault. Cooking breaks down cell walls. It softens tough fibers. It transforms molecules into more bioavailable forms. But here is the part that surprises people. When certain foods are cooked, cooled, and then reheated, an entirely new set of beneficial reactions takes place. There are 3 mechanisms you need to understand. First, resistant starch formation. When starchy foods like rice and potatoes are cooked and then cooled, their molecular structure rearranges. The starch crystallizes into something called resistant starch, a form of carbohydrate that your small intestine cannot digest. Instead, it travels to your colon, where it becomes fuel for your beneficial gut bacteria. These bacteria ferment it into butyrate, a short-chain fatty acid that reduces inflammation, strengthens your gut barrier, and is associated with a lower risk of colorectal cancer. Second, enhanced carotenoid release. Carotenoids like beta-carotene and lycopene are powerful antioxidants, but in raw vegetables, they are trapped inside tough cell walls and bound up with indigestible fiber. Cooking breaks those walls down. Reheating in the presence of a small amount of fat helps dissolve these fat-soluble compounds so your body can actually absorb them. Third, concentration and transformation. When you reheat tomato-based sauces or soups, you are not just warming up the same nutrients. Heat and time allow certain chemical transformations to complete. Lycopene, the red pigment in tomatoes, becomes more bioavailable with cooking. Antioxidant compounds in cooked carrots become more accessible. And when you reheat these foods as part of a dish, the matrix of the food itself works in your favor. These are not theoretical benefits, they are documented in peer-reviewed studies in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry, and the British Journal of Nutrition. The same journals that others cherry-pick for scary headlines also contain research on how reheating can enhance nutrition. So let us get to the 4 foods. Food number 1, rice. Let us start with the food that was just called the most dangerous leftover on the planet: rice. Yes, Bacillus cereus is real. Yes, improper storage of cooked rice can create food safety risks. And yes, if you leave rice out at room temperature for hours, you are playing with a biological hazard. I will never dismiss genuine food safety. Cool your rice quickly, refrigerate it within an hour, store it properly. But here is the part of the story that was left out. When cooked rice is cooled, especially when it is cooled rapidly and refrigerated, something remarkable happens inside each grain. The amylose and amylopectin molecules realign and form crystalline structures. This is called starch retrogradation. The result is resistant starch. A study published in Asia-Pacific Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that cooling cooked rice increases its resistant starch content by up to threefold. When you reheat that rice, you do not lose all of that benefit. The resistant starch largely remains intact, and you now have a food that feeds your microbiome, improves insulin sensitivity, and produces anti-inflammatory compounds in your gut. Butyrate, that short-chain fatty acid I mentioned earlier, is one of the primary fuels for the cells lining your colon. It reduces oxidative stress. It helps maintain the integrity of your gut barrier. And a healthy gut barrier is one of your first lines of defense against systemic inflammation, a driver of numerous chronic diseases, including cancer. The competitor narrative says reheated rice causes cancer. The complete scientific picture says that properly stored, cooled, and reheated rice can actually support the gut health mechanisms that help prevent it. What to do instead? Cook your rice. Spread it on a shallow tray to cool it quickly. Refrigerate within 1 hour. When you reheat it, add a splash of water and heat it thoroughly to steaming hot. Do not just warm it, and yes, consume within 24 hours for safety, but do not throw it away out of nutritional fear. Food number 2. Potatoes. Potatoes suffer from the same reputation problem as rice. People have been told that starchy vegetables are nothing but empty calories, and that reheating them only makes things worse. This could not be further from the truth. When potatoes are cooked and then cooled, they undergo the same starch retrogradation process as rice. A potato that has been boiled, cooled in the refrigerator, and then reheated contains significantly more resistant starch than a freshly boiled potato. Research from food chemistry demonstrated that the resistant starch content of cooked potatoes can increase by up to 250% after cooling. Reheating does not destroy this benefit. It simply makes the potato warm and palatable again while preserving the gut-feeding properties of the resistant starch. But there is another benefit here that is rarely discussed: satiety and blood sugar control. Resistant starch is not digested in the small intestine. It does not spike your blood glucose the way rapidly digestible starch does. For people concerned with metabolic health, a cooled and reheated potato is arguably a better metabolic choice than a freshly cooked one. Potatoes are also rich in potassium, vitamin C, and various polyphenols. While some vitamin C degrades with heat, the mineral content remains stable, and the antioxidant compounds in colored potatoes, purple and red varieties in particular, actually show improved accessibility after cooking. What to do instead? Boil or bake potatoes. Cool them completely in the refrigerator. Reheat them in an oven or on a stovetop with minimal oil. A reheated potato salad with olive oil and vinegar gives you resistant starch plus the fat-soluble absorption benefits. A reheated roasted potato with rosemary provides warmth, flavor, and microbiome fuel. Food number 3. Tomatoes. If there is one food that definitively proves cooking and reheating can enhance nutrition, it is the tomato. Raw tomatoes are wonderful. They are hydrating, crisp, and contain vitamin C, but raw tomatoes are not the best source of bioavailable lycopene. Lycopene is a carotenoid with potent antioxidant properties. It is the compound that gives tomatoes their red color. It has been studied extensively for its role in reducing the risk of prostate cancer, cardiovascular disease, and oxidative damage. But here is the catch. Lycopene in raw tomatoes is locked inside the plant cell walls and bound to fibers in a way that makes it difficult for your body to extract. When tomatoes are cooked, those cell walls break down. The lycopene is released from the matrix, but the story does not end there. Cooking actually transforms some of the translycopene into a more bioavailable cis isomer. Multiple studies have shown that cooked tomato products contain 2 to 3 times more bioavailable lycopene than raw tomatoes. Now, what about reheating? When you reheat tomato sauce, tomato soup, or a dish containing cooked tomatoes, you are consuming a food that has already undergone this beneficial transformation. The lycopene is already liberated. The fat-soluble compound is already present in a matrix that your body can absorb, especially if there is a little olive oil or fat in the dish. A landmark study in the British Journal of Nutrition found that people who consumed cooked tomato paste with olive oil absorbed significantly more lycopene than those who consumed raw tomatoes. The heat did not destroy the nutrition, it completed it, and when you reheat that sauce the next day, the lycopene is still there. It may even become more concentrated as the sauce reduces slightly. The antioxidant potential remains. This is not a food that becomes dangerous when reheated. This is a food that becomes more powerful. What to do instead? Make your tomato sauces, soups, and stews. Cook them thoroughly. Cool and store properly. Reheat them gently. Add a drizzle of olive oil when serving to maximize fat-soluble absorption. Do not fear the leftover marinara. It is a lycopene delivery system that is working in your favor. Food number 4. Carrots. Here is the food that surprises people. Carrots are often promoted as the ultimate raw snack. Health coaches tell you to keep baby carrots in your bag for crunching. And raw carrots are fine, but they are not the nutritional peak of this vegetable. Carrots are packed with beta-carotene. Your body converts beta-carotene into vitamin A, which is essential for immune function, vision, and cellular health. But beta-carotene is trapped inside the rigid cellulose walls of the carrot plant. In a raw carrot, those walls are largely intact. Cooking breaks down those walls. A study published in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry found that cooking carrots increased the availability of beta-carotene by up to 50% compared to raw carrots. The softening of the vegetable matrix allows your digestive enzymes to access the compound. But here is where reheating comes in. When carrots are cooked into a soup, stew, or casserole and then reheated, they continue to soften. The cell walls break down further. The beta-carotene, already partially liberated by the first cooking, becomes even more accessible. And when the reheated carrot is consumed in a broth or with a fat source like butter, olive oil, or coconut milk, the fat-soluble beta-carotene dissolves into the lipid matrix and is readily absorbed. Carrots also contain other antioxidants, including lutein and phenolic compounds, whose availability improves with cooking. The fiber content remains. The mineral content, potassium, manganese, remains stable through reheating. So the idea that reheating carrots destroys their value is exactly backwards. The reheated carrot in your soup is delivering more usable vitamin A to your body than the raw carrot stick ever could. What to do instead? Roast carrots with olive oil and herbs. Add them to soups and stews. Cook them thoroughly the first time. When you reheat them, do so gently in their liquid or broth. The combination of heat, time, and fat maximizes the nutritional return on every bite. Let me be very clear about something. I am not here to tell you that all food safety rules are myths. I am not telling you to leave rice on the counter overnight or to reheat chicken carelessly. Food safety matters. Proper storage matters. Cross-contamination matters. The danger of Bacillus cereus is real. But I am telling you that the narrative of reheating creates carcinogens is scientifically incomplete. It cherry-picks mechanisms while ignoring the complete biochemical picture. Food chemistry is not a one-way street toward destruction. Heat is a tool. It breaks down harmful structures in some cases and beneficial structures in others. The same Maillard reaction that produces concerning compounds in charred meat also produces the antioxidant melanoidins in coffee and bread. The same oxidation that damages lipids in some contexts is part of the signaling that regulates your immune system. What matters is the food, the temperature, the storage method, and the context. The 4 foods we discussed today, rice, potatoes, tomatoes, and carrots, are not dangerous leftovers when handled properly. They are opportunities to enhance your nutrition. Resistant starch from cooled and reheated rice and potatoes feeds your gut microbiome and produces anti-inflammatory butyrate. Cooked and reheated tomatoes deliver more bioavailable lycopene than raw tomatoes. Cooked and reheated carrots provide more accessible beta-carotene than raw carrots. These are not fringe theories. They are well documented in the same scientific literature that others use to scare you. I want you to stop fearing your leftovers. Instead, I want you to understand them. Here are the practical, evidence-based steps to maximize the benefits and minimize any real risks. Cool quickly. The danger zone for bacterial growth is room temperature. Spread rice and potatoes on a shallow tray. Cool them within an hour. Refrigerate promptly. Reheat thoroughly. Your food should be steaming hot throughout. This is basic food safety, but it also ensures the food is palatable and safe. Eat within safe windows. For rice and starchy foods, consume within 24 hours. For vegetable-based dishes like tomato sauce and carrot soups, 2 to 3 days is generally safe if refrigerated properly. Add fat to vegetables. Lycopene and beta-carotene are fat-soluble. A drizzle of olive oil, a pat of butter, or a handful of nuts with your meal dramatically increases absorption. Do not reheat endlessly. 1 cook, 1 cool, 1 reheat. Do not keep cycling food through heat and refrigeration repeatedly. Use gentle heat when possible. Microwaves are fine for starchy foods. For vegetables, a stovetop reheat with a little broth or water preserves texture and prevents overheating. Plan for resistant starch. If you want the metabolic benefits, intentionally cook rice and potatoes ahead of time. Cool them in the fridge overnight. Reheat them the next day. You are now eating a food with a superior nutritional profile. There is a fundamental difference between education and fear. Education gives you the complete picture so you can make informed decisions. Fear gives you only the half that makes you anxious. The research on food reheating is not a horror story. It is a complex, fascinating field of science that shows food is dynamic. It changes, and sometimes those changes are in your favor. I have spent my career reading these studies. I have spent years understanding the mechanisms of oxidation, glycation, and nutrient bioavailability. And I am here to tell you that the kitchen is not a chemistry lab where everything goes wrong. It is a place where, with a little knowledge, you can make food work harder for your health. The person who told you that reheated rice is poison forgot to mention the resistant starch. The person who warned you about leftover vegetables ignored the lycopene and beta-carotene studies. You now have the other half of the story. So the next time you open your refrigerator and see a container of rice, a bowl of potato soup, a jar of tomato sauce, or a dish of roasted carrots, do not feel afraid. Feel informed. You know what is actually happening on your plate. If you found this evidence-based perspective valuable, I encourage you to subscribe. Every week I translate peer-reviewed research into practical, empowering knowledge. No supplements to sell, no fear to peddle, just the science and what it actually means for your life. Before I go, let me ask you, which of these 4 foods will you look at differently now? Was it the rice that feeds your gut bacteria? The potatoes that improve your blood sugar response? The tomatoes that fight oxidation? Or the carrots that finally release their vitamin A? Let me know in the comments. And if there is a food you have been afraid to reheat, tell me. I will look into the actual research and give you the complete picture. I am Dr. William. Thank you for watching. Your health is built on knowledge, not fear. I will see you in the next video.